It's not about how much money you earn, but how you use what you have. This is one of the most important lessons I learned during my 10 years as a financial advisor, helping people with large fortunes. It doesn't matter whether you make $50,000, or $500,000. Anyone can apply the strategies used by the top 1% of the wealthiest people to grow and protect their money. That's why, in this video, I'm going to explain the 15-65-20 system, a simple and proven method that can help you organize your finances like an expert. Let's start with something key: 15%. This represents a portion of every dollar you earn that you should save for yourself. This habit is the first step to building long-term financial stability, and it's important for two main reasons. 1. Peace of mind. Imagine going about your daily life and suddenly your tire goes flat, an unexpected medical bill shows up, or a family emergency arises. If you don't have an emergency fund or enough savings, you won't just be worried about the situation itself, but also about how you're going to pay for it. This can quickly throw your finances off track and get you into serious trouble, but that doesn't happen if you have that 15% fund. Start by creating a quick access fund that's enough to cover 1 month of your essential expenses. This will be your first shield against life's unexpected events. 1 month's worth of expenses is not as much as you might think. It doesn't include subscriptions like Netflix or other luxuries, just your basic needs: rent or mortgage, food, basic utilities, and transportation. Then, gradually grow that fund until you can cover 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. This savings cushion gives you tremendous peace of mind because if something serious happens, like losing your job, facing a health issue, or dealing with another unexpected crisis, you'll be covered and won't have to go into debt to get through it. Knowing you have 3 to 6 months of basic expenses saved will allow you to focus on solving the problem instead of stressing about how to pay for it. The second reason to save that 15% of your income is to make your money work for you. You don't need to be an economics expert to start doing this. In fact, you might already be taking steps in that direction without even realizing it. Now, let me explain why this method is so powerful and how you can get started, even if you have no experience. Imagine two people, Anna and Carlos. At age 30, Anna decides to invest $10,000 as a one-time investment. This investment earns a steady 6% annual return. Anna doesn't withdraw or touch her money for 20 years. By the time she turns 50, her initial investment has grown to $32,071, without her adding a single extra dollar. On the other hand, we have Carlos, who decides to start investing later, at age 40. Instead of a one-time investment, Carlos contributes $2,000 every year for 10 years, totaling $20,000. His investment also earns a 6% annual return. When Carlos turns 50, his money has grown to $27,944. While this amount isn't bad, it's still less than Anna's. Even though he invested twice as much, the difference lies in time and compound interest. Anna's money had 10 more years to grow and reinvest, and those extra years made a huge difference. Her initial $10,000 turned into $32,071 without her needing to add anything else. This perfectly illustrates what Einstein meant when he called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. The longer you let your money grow, the bigger the results. The secret is to start as early as possible and let time do the rest. It's like a train that doesn't stop. Your savings generate more and more gains over time. So, how can you get started? First, some options. If you're already contributing to your workplace retirement plan, you've taken the first step. The employer matches essentially free money. This means your company adds an extra amount for every dollar or pound you contribute, up to a certain limit. For example, imagine you earn $50,000 a year and your employer offers a 5% match. This means that for every dollar or pound you save, up to $2,500, Your employer will contribute the same amount. In the UK, this kind of plan is automatic, but here's something key to remember. Make sure you're saving enough to take full advantage of your employer's contribution. This is a powerful way to boost your savings because the contributions are made before taxes are taken out, and the money you accumulate grows tax-free until you retire. Now, let's talk about other tax-advantaged options. For example, in countries like the United Kingdom, you can use stocks and shares ISAs, while in the United States, there's the Roth IRA, Roth Individual Retirement Account. These types of accounts allow your investments to grow without being taxed, meaning you don't pay taxes on the dividends or on the profits your investments generate. Governments create these special accounts to encourage long-term saving and investing. However, it's important to understand that the money you use to invest in these accounts has already been taxed, since it comes from your post-tax income. In other words, you pay taxes up front, not later. In contrast, with your workplace retirement plan, taxes are paid at the end, when you withdraw the money, not at the beginning. The most important thing is to make the most of all these tax-advantaged accounts before investing in regular accounts that don't offer these benefits. Now, you might be wondering, okay, I know what kind of account I need, but what should I invest in? The key is to keep it simple by investing in passive funds. These funds basically track the overall performance of the stock market. Passive funds automatically spread your money across hundreds of companies, so you're not putting everything into a single investment. Plus, they have very low fees, which means more of your money goes to work for you. Once you've set up these tax-advantaged accounts and are contributing regularly, you can let those passive funds do their job. You don't need to constantly try to predict or beat the market, just set it up and leave it alone. It's essentially the simplest way to build wealth, and it's a strategy used by some of the most successful investors in the world. Let's talk about the 65%. This is the portion of every dollar you should use to cover your most important expenses. These are the essential costs you need to live, such as rent or mortgage payments, groceries, utility bills like electricity, water, and internet, transportation, and any other necessary expenses that keep your daily life running smoothly. This part can be tricky because these expenses often increase unexpectedly if you're not careful. For example, when you get the raise, it's easy to feel tempted to move into a bigger apartment or get a new car. While that might seem like an upgrade, it can actually turn into a problem, because those changes often bring higher costs, like more expensive rent, more frequent repairs, or higher insurance premiums. If you're not mindful of your spending, your expenses can grow at the same pace as your income, and that can make you feel like you're always tight on money. This is why setting a clear limit on your essential expenses is so important. By keeping these expenses within 65% of your income, you can make sure there's always enough money for what matters most, without constantly stressing about it. But I won't lie, this is often easier said than done, especially if you live in a city where everything is expensive. According to the Office for National Statistics, housing is the biggest expense for most people, accounting for around 19% of total weekly spending. This includes rent or mortgage payments, interest, and utility bills like electricity and water. The second largest expense is transportation, which makes up about 14% of the household budget. This includes the cost of buying a vehicle, maintenance, fuel, and public transport. Take time to analyze your spending. Identify the areas where you're spending the most money. Once you clearly understand where your money is going, you can find more effective ways to use it. Where do you spend the most? Is there a chance to renegotiate your rent? Could you switch your commute to a cheaper option? When it comes to enjoying life, this final 20% represents the starting point for a special fund. In the book, the author shares a powerful idea. The main goal isn't to end life with a huge bank account, but to use your money to create a life full of meaning and happiness. The top 1% know an important secret. They intentionally include room in their budgets to enjoy themselves, without guilt. You should do the same. Working non-stop can lead to burnout, and various studies have shown that people who allow some flexibility in their budgets are far more likely to reach their long-term financial goals. It's like following a super strict diet. If you never allow yourself to enjoy a treat, sooner or later you'll end up binging. The same principle applies to money. You might think, that won't affect my savings or investments, but actually, the opposite might happen. If you don't set aside money to spend guilt-free, you're more likely to overspend later, or worse, completely give up on your savings and investment plans. That's why the 15-65-20 rule recommends you allocate 20% of your income to activities and things that bring you joy and personal satisfaction. In fact, you can think of this 20% as an investment in yourself. By making sure you stay motivated, balanced, and energized, you actually increase your chances of achieving your long-term financial goals. In practice, this could mean enjoying a special dinner once a month, finally buying that bag you've been wanting for a while, or even planning a fun trip with friends. The important thing is to give yourself permission to use that 20% of your income without feeling bad or ashamed about it. These are some of the best tips for managing your money, like the top 1%, by following the 15-65-20 rule.